Well, hello there, everyone. It's Mazske Finance coming to you again, and I have another special guest. I'm sure you're going to love this interview, so stick around for the entire thing and make sure you stick around for the ending. All right, so Cowboy, if you want to say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My family calls me Cowboy, but my government name is Edwin.
Sounds good. Welcome to the show, Edwin, aka Cowboy. So if you want to, go ahead and tell us a little introduction about who you are and about yourself, as little as you want to or as much as you want to, but go right ahead.
Okay. I live in New York City. I was prior Marine. I served for 5 years. Currently, I'm a police officer in the city, and I've been investing in real estate for a little less than 2 years, and I have 4 properties at the time, single family homes.
Sounds good. And I can't remember if I told you or not. You might have heard me say it on my channel, but I was actually in the Navy. So what years were you in the Marine Corps?
I was in from 2001 to 2006.
Okay. I joined the Navy. I was active duty Navy from 87 to 96. Then I got out, then I went in the reserves and retired from the reserves in 2010.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, if you want to, since you have some real estate investments, and I don't know this answer, so if you want to tell us what got you interested in investing in real estate.
So the magic book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, my cousin gave me the book and I read it and it kind of inspired me. And I sat on that for a long time. I remember being in the Marine Corps on the parade deck, just standing there doing different drills and stuff like that. And when we were idle, just standing in position of attention and doing nothing, I was just dreaming of buying real estate, where I was going to buy real estate. And I knew that I wanted to get into it. And that was the spark that got me into real estate.
That's pretty cool. Because I've heard a lot of investors say that Rich Dad Poor Dad did that for them. And I'm kind of the oddball, I think, because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think shortly after it was published. And I remember reading it and just thinking to myself, I had 2 young kids. I was a brand new cop. Money was tight. And I just remember thinking, I can't afford to start investing in real estate. I'm just going to stick with stocks. And knowing what I know now, it's like, man, if I could go turn back the hands of time, I would have read that book a second time and started investing in real estate, 20 years ago.
I wish I would have started earlier, but things happen for a reason. And I'm just fortunate that I was able to start in 2020 during the COVID era. And I took the plunge, I took a leap of faith, and so far it's worked out for me.
Sounds good. Well, if you want to, with your first house, kind of tell us how you found it, and if you want to share the numbers on it, feel free to show the numbers on it.
Okay. So my first house I bought in Cleveland, Ohio. The way I did my research, I researched Ohio. I found different areas, and it described what areas, like what classification they were, and so I knew I wanted to invest in like the C-class neighborhoods. But the way I found my realtor, I watched YouTube. I followed someone on YouTube. I paid for his mentorship, and he basically gave me his network. And he explained to me like it took him a while to find his network and have his team in place. And I hired that network. I hired a realtor who basically hired a GC for me, oversaw the construction, because the first property I bought was a distressed property. I did a bird deal, and I paid $32,500 for the property. It was a 3-1, and then I basically put $30,000 into renovation, and then they rented it out, and they rented for $900, and I was all in about $67K. So it cash flowed about 20%. So I was very happy with that deal. But after that deal, it took me, there was a hiccup with the deal. I tried to get financing for the deal. Or I tried to do my renovation. My and I tried to get delayed financing for the deal, and the mortgage company told me that it would take 6 months for me to do the seasoning process and to refinance the property. But after the 6 months came, they did the appraisal. They told me no, I had to wait a whole year. So I had to wait a whole year after I did the renovation to get my money back out of the deal. And so at that time, I didn't have any more deals that I could get. It was really hard. The market had heated up, and it was just hard to find another deal in Cleveland. So at that time, I decided to go move to another market, and I went to Columbus.
Okay. So with that first property, have you ever done a refinance on it, or have you just moved on to?
I had to wait a whole year to do the refinance. After the lender told me I had to wait 6 months, it took me a whole year to do the refinance. I pulled most of my money. I was all in 67. I pulled out 57 and left about 10K into the deal. So it was really a deal. It wasn't a full burr, but I only left 10K. That was less than what I would have to put in.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool then. And I'm glad you talked about that, because I've talked about the burr strategy on my channel a bit, and I've done it one time where I was successful and pulled all my money out. But I know I've also cautioned folks that burr can be the best way to invest when you're successful, but there's always that chance something may happen with the financing. And if the money you put into it, my assumption is the money you put in to buy it, rehab it, was your money, yes, not hard money.
Correct.
Right.
I wasn't worried about paying the fees and my timeline, because I knew there was no fees. I was making actually maybe like $800 at that time, being all cash. So I wasn't worried about holding fees.
Right. Well, that's good then, because that's the best way to do it. But there are folks out there that have asked me about using hard money or using like HELOC money to do a burr. And I'll caution them, because if it falls through and you still got to pay that loan back, that has bankrupt investors in the past by doing that. So the way you did it was a safe way to do it, because you could afford to delay the financing, and it all worked out for you then.
Yeah, my second deal was also a burr. But then I started thinking, like, I'm getting lucky, because my second one went without any problems as well. And I know there's always hiccups when you're doing renovations and stuff like that. And so I decided eventually to stop doing burrs. One, because I wasn't getting all my money back. I was leaving money in the deals. So I knew I was going to run out of money anyways, and decided to do conventional financing with my third and fourth property.
Okay. So for your second, third, and your fourth, they're in the same general market?
Actually, I left Cleveland and I went to Columbus, Ohio, because during COVID, it became very difficult to find deals. So the realtor I was using in Cleveland, they weren't sending me any good deals. They weren't meeting my criteria. So I was like, I end up getting more money to invest. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Columbus. I knew Columbus on paper was a better market, because they have population growth. They have a strong job market, and in theory, better appreciation over the long term. So I was like, it's more expensive, but I thought long term it will be better to invest in Columbus. So I started building a network in Columbus, finding a realtor, finding contractors, and actually it hasn't been easy, but I've found deals that work for me that give me a better than 10% cash on cash return in C-class neighborhoods.
Okay, that sounds good then. Because, I've heard other investors around the country talk about getting a 5% cash on cash, 7% cash on cash. And personally, my minimum would be 10%. But also I have 12% deals, 14%, 20%. I think I have one deal that's like 35%. So, but anything 10 and higher to me is a good deal.
My minimum so far has been 12%. So
all right.
I'm happy with it.
Sounds good to me. So, and how long, you now have 4 rental properties. How long did that take you to get all 4?
I started in June of 2020. So it's been less than 2 years.
Okay. And you mentioned that you are a police officer, correct?
Yes,
So you're a blue collar worker, right?
correct. My first property I funded with money that I saved for years. I've always been frugal, and I saved for a couple years, maybe like 8 years, 9 years. And I just used that money. I took a dive and it's worked out. And then I pulled out money from my retirement account to fund my next other deals.
Okay.
I didn't pay the 10% penalty because I used the CARES Act because of COVID. And I was able to pull out money without any penalty. But you do pay a pretty penny to the government with taxes.
Right. That's true. Well, let me ask this then. With the cash flow from 4 houses, will that help you to speed up the process of getting future rentals without having to tap into retirement accounts, or will it kind of supplement future deals?
Well, so the money I'm making on my cash flow, I just bought my 4th property this Friday. I closed on Friday. So I don't have cash flow from all 4. And actually, I bought the last 2. I bought the number 3 in November. So I just got that rented out. I have a Section 8 tenant. They're paying. I'm getting 13% cash on cash return on that deal. So eventually, by this year, I plan to buy at least 1 more. I wanted to buy 2 this year. I have 1. So eventually, I'll get about $1,800 positive cash flow after all expenses paid from the 4 properties.
Okay, that sounds good then. So looking ahead then, where do you see yourself going? Do you think, because I know you told me you're going to retire fairly soon, do you think you'll stop with 5, 6, or 7 rentals, or do you think you're going to keep buying for years to come?
So my plan is to buy 10 under my name and then 10 under my wife's name. And then I don't know where we go from there, but I don't see a reason to stop. It's something that I want to do it's not so much for me, it's for my family. I have 3 kids and I want to be able to provide and have something to leave for them, and hopefully have them continue to build positive cash flow, be financially stable and financially wise, and invest in cash flowing assets.
Okay, that sounds good then. Because if you get 10 in your name and 10 in your wife's name, that's 20 right there. And above and beyond that, because that's where I'm at now, is kind of above and beyond that, there's what's called non-QM lenders. And I know of 2 different ones I've been in touch with, and they both will give 30-year fixed rate mortgages at good interest rates. Not as good as what you get right now, but maybe one is like 4.9%, one's 5.25%. So they're, as long as you positive cash flow, who cares what the interest rate is?
Yeah.
So
interest rates, they've been around the last couple of deals around 4%. They still cash flow. My first one was like 3.5%. So as long as they make money, as long as the numbers work and you can make the numbers work, then it really doesn't matter what percentage you're paying on the property.
Right. That's true. Well, let me ask this thing, because you and I are similar in a way. I bought my first rental about 1.5 years before I retired from police work. And then once I retired, I worked part-time, and I was still able to get mortgages because I had my pension and I had part-time income coming in. Then I started getting them in my wife's name. But then we have since moved to a different state, because we're 1,000 miles away from where I was living. Neither my wife or myself are working. And if we get an open slot and we want to try to get a conventional mortgage, we can do it, but it's all based on my rental income and my pension. But the one banker I interviewed, Jerry Padilla, he's actually in New York as well. He's in Rochester. He qualified me for this mortgage on the house I live in based off my pension and the rental properties just in my name. And he worked some magic for me, because The debt to income ratio was very high because it's kind of an expensive house. But he knew I had more rentals in my wife's name. He knew I was going to sell my residence in Virginia, which would give me a chunk of money. So he was able to pull strings to get me qualified. So for yourself, you have lots of options down the road for you. Like if you get to 20 rentals, you're looking pretty good right there. You got a pension, you got 20 rentals. But if you want to go above and beyond, there's so many ways out there to get financing.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I want to do after the 20 rentals, like Airbnb, commercial property. I just want to focus on getting to the 10 and then getting my wife her 10. And then we could see where we want to, which direction we want to move in. We don't know where the market is going to be because this is a long process. So it's going to be years down the line before I figure we both have 10 properties.
Right. It could be. But then on the flip side, because I was thinking that way for myself, it would take a long time. And then in the year 2020, I bought my first rental in 2017. In 2020, it's like everything just lined up properly for me. And it all came together and it kind of blew me away. But when the year was over and I looked back, I was like, wow, how did I do that? Because I bought 14 rentals in that 12-month period. And I was like, I'm just masky. I'm the blue collar guy. I'm retired. How did I buy 14 houses in a year? And like I say, if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah. I blue collar, grew up poor, welfare, Section 8, maybe oversharing, but my mother passed away. She was murdered when I was 11. Father was an alcoholic. And if I could do it, if I could invest in properties, I didn't finish college, I graduated high school, joined the military, became a police officer. It's possible. It's just you have to want it, you have to put in the work, and you could get a better financial future for yourself and your kids if you really want to achieve that goal.
Sounds good. I mean, that's exactly it. Hopefully everyone who started watching this video tunes in all the way to this point because the words you just said are magical. It's like everyone needs to hear those words because it is possible.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. All right. Well, we're going to, I think, wrap this up in a couple minutes. Like I do with all my interviews, Cowboy, I will give you the last word. So whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
All right. Like I said, I'm grateful for this opportunity you gave me to interview me. I thank you for pulling me out of my comfort zone. I usually don't do stuff like this. My wife was actually proud of me that I'm actually doing this. And I think real estate is one of the best investments you could get into. Just live below your means, save, get your down payment for your first property, do the work, and make sure you invest in something that's going to produce cash for you.
Sounds good. All right, Edwin, aka Cowboy. I appreciate this and thank you.
Thank you.
So, all right, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, thank you now. All right, audience, well, thanks for watching. You had another great interview. If you have any questions for either myself or for Cowboy, just put it in the comments below. So for both Cowboy and Mazske Finance, I appreciate you watching, and Mazske is signing out.